Hey everybody, hope everybody's doing good, staying blessed and feeling well. I am back, and so today I am coming in after school. It's a bit of a rainy day and I have some time right before I have to go ahead and do my studying for my OSHA 10. But I figured I would come in because I finally ended up getting something that I'm really happy and excited about. And I finally ended up getting a protective head neck cover that's from Black Stallion in the mail today from Amazon, and I am really excited to be able to use it. I figured I would actually show it to you. It comes like this, and here's the tag. The logo that's on it, and on the inside here, not sure how well you'll be able to see. It actually has information on what it's made out of on the inside. And I'm really excited about this because, as if you've been following me, you already know I've been sewing stuff together and doing a lot of work of trying to protect my face. And I figured I would try this out since it's supposed to be made for that. As you can see, it covers a decent amount of my face. My neck is covered, so when I put my jacket on, my hair should be covered by my jacket. It fits pretty good. Plenty of room in here for me to move. And easy to put on and take off. So I think it's actually really nice. I'll probably come back, and when we do go back into the classroom and do our welding and give a little bit of update of how it held up. But like I said, we're doing OSHA, so we ended up getting this handbook the other day. And I have to do some studying tonight again. So far, we've actually watched some videos of people doing some pretty insane things that could have been prevented repeatedly. There are a bunch of videos on YouTube, and there are some things that I just was staring at, wondering how that was even allowed to happen. It's really humbling to know that despite all of the OSHA regulations that are out there, there are still people who would do things to put people in danger, and that has been something that really was apparent in OSHA class today. So another thing, I am considering getting another welding helmet and jacket because I ended up having an issue where I got burnt straight through my jacket on my side while trying to do overhead for the first time. I am looking forward to going back into the classroom and working to try to get that down a lot better. But I'm thinking I definitely do need to get a helmet with at least four sensors because the one that I have right now only has two. And I tried one of my friend's helmets in class, and there's a huge difference. So I think I'm being hindered slightly because of the fact that I have a outdated helmet. But overall, I have to say I'm really having a good time in school. I'm enjoying learning new things, and I am very thankful that I decided to go ahead and go to class. Now, another thing that I find myself thinking about since I am in the process of learning to become a welder, uh, it's just a little bit, it's slightly intimidating looking at how many other people are trying to do the same job and um, thinking about the future of where will I actually end up in this field. I'm really looking forward to all the opportunities that come my way during this process. But I am also looking at this from a positive side, as in, this is a learning experience for me. It is changing how I see my life and what it is that I'm capable of doing. And it's basically been nothing but a positive experience in the aspect of me overcoming challenges. That being said, overhead, it kind of stressed me out a little bit when I first started trying to do it, mainly because of what I said. My jacket legitimately, there's a hole, a very visible hole, and several other holes throughout the course of me welding in class, and it's becoming very apparent that that particular jacket is just not it's just not protecting me in a way that I would like. And I'm saying this, and it's not a bad jacket. It's just that I know for a fact that if I had a jacket that was complete cowhide, that some of the stuff that's going on wouldn't be happening in the same way. Considering I actually do hold a very tight arc um, throughout learning how to do this, there aren't as many sparks or molten metal or anything that's supposed to be coming my way. And the few that have basically got to me, the cotton part of that particular jacket it does prevent me from being burnt up, but it doesn't stop me from actually getting a burn that decides to go straight through the cotton part of the jacket. So I'm probably going to end up having to invest in better PPE for myself because I don't want to end up burnt up unnecessarily. And sitting there listening to our ocean instructor, that is something that really just had me sitting there thinking like this could have been prevented on the side of my face. The burn to my side could have been prevented if I had better stuff on underneath my actual jacket or an actual better jacket. And now that I'm actually further along in class, I can flat out see I need a better helmet. I need to flat out get a better jacket. I will need to get new gloves. And there are some things that I know for a fact, had I known ahead of time, because I signed up for school very early, and I could have been preparing to get these things way sooner, and none of this stuff would have happened. So I think I would probably be a prime example of someone who ended up having something happen that could have completely been preventable. And so it led to me being frustrated the first time I did overhype when that happened, that I'm leaning up like this and a piece of spark molten comes down, hits the jacket, singes straight through. There's a hole like the size of my fingertip that you can clearly see went straight through the jacket and straight through my uniform shirt and then to my skin. So I had to stop what I was doing, take a breather because it doesn't feel good to get burnt like that. It considering you don't know if it decided to get in there. There's a piece of you don't like sometimes when you're welding like that, even with all the precautions, you do occasionally get burned or you're dealing with a lot of heat and it's a dangerous situation. But once something like that does happen, it usually does not feel good at all. And your reaction and the way that you handle it and all the rest of that actually does factor into your own safety. So I was calm and collected about that part, but sitting there and actually looking at the situation and knowing that it could have been prevented is actually making me take extra steps for my own personal safety outside of what the school provided because now that I know a lot more about welding, the school basically gave us some base level stuff. And our instructor is awesome because he will tell you what you need that's outside of the school parameters. He will tell you what you need if you don't like something and all the rest of that. But I feel as though it would have been nice if the school actually provided you a choice in what PPE that you wanted within the parameters for your own personal safety. Because um, had I had this, which comes from Black Stallion, in the first place, I wouldn't have somehow ended up with the little burn on the side of my face that happened. If I had this in the first place, there's a list of other random issues I wouldn't have been having, worrying about my hair and other stuff. So while I appreciate the fact that the school is teaching me and everything, that's the one thing that I would actually have to say. I wish I would have did a little bit more research or somebody was a little bit more candid about because it really disturbs me that that's something I'm supposed to just take in stride when I knew for a fact that there was something that I could have been giving from the beginning to prevent me from having those problems. Now, if you've been following me, you probably already know I'm not some little princess type person anyway. So scars, they come with the thing. Being a welder, being burnt, it comes with the territory. Okay, good and dandy. But I really do wish if I could change anything, I had the proper helmet that I'm supposed to have, which I already did the research and I know the one that I need to get for myself. It's rather expensive, but it's worth it. And I know for a fact it'll increase my productivity and my ability to weld 100%. Like, there's no way around this. I've actually tried out the helmets available by my other classmates. One of them has uh, a lower tier model of a Lincoln electric helmet, which works really nice. Also, by the way, it's better than my helmet. And another one has a helmet that looks similar to Master Chief's helmet. Which, if you have been searching welding helmets, you'll find it. You'll know exactly which one I'm talking about. And out of the two, I think I'm going to end up having to try to get myself a Lincoln Electric 3350, I believe it's called. It's the best welding helmet. It has the best clarity. I've done all the research that I can possibly do. And out of those two helmets that I've seen in the classroom, the Lincoln Electric is probably going to be the one I'm going to have to go with. It's going to cost me, but I want to be able to see. And I don't want to go blind. And I don't like the idea of possibly being arc flashed. And if you've ever been arc flashed, you probably already know. It doesn't initially hurt you, but later on, you'll end up feeling like someone took hot sand and tossed it in your eyeballs. Yeah, pretty much. Not a pleasant thing. Um, as far as the experience with my teacher, I have to say I feel like this teacher is probably one of the best, if not the best, at actually getting you to learn what it is that you need to do. And I want to say that I am so happy that I didn't give up. Because if I would have just gave up when back in the beginning when I was going through all the stuff that I was going through, I would have missed out on this opportunity to learn from this particular teacher. I would have missed the opportunity to move forward in a career that I want to actually do with my life. And then I don't know. I just would have been feeling as if I was a failure. Now, that being said, there's a list of things that I am highly like excited about when it comes to welding. Like whenever I do get in a random conversation with somebody or somebody sees me in my school uniform or they notice that I'm carrying my backpack with a welding helmet in it, I get to hear so many interesting conversation topics about why it is somebody like me is doing something like that, or they wouldn't have thought in a million years that I would choose to be a welder. And it's is really inspiring to a certain degree whenever I do talk to somebody else and they tell me that they were thinking about doing something similar and it was being held back by it. And I just tell them, like, the longer that you put something like that off, the more you it will sit there and probably end up regretting not following your dream. So, from personal experience, I would say the only thing holding you back from doing something that you really want to do as far as your education is yourself. So, that's something that you can overcome immediately as soon as you decide that's something that you want to do with yourself. You will find a way. And on a silly note, there are so many times that I actually sat there and since I do live in Baltimore, um, there is no reason why a junkie is out hustling me. Like, I'm not gonna have that happen. Like, you don't see them out there talking about how they don't have money for something or they can't do something or whatever. They find a way. And I know that's probably a really silly or grim example, but it's a reality. If you really want something and that's something that you want, the only thing that's holding you back most of the time is your own thought process of not trying to actually make it be a reality. So for me personally, I feel as though the first step was acknowledging that I wanted to go to welding school, not giving a damn that somebody else thought that I didn't need to do that because I was a girl, or I was you're too pretty to do that. Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, what does me being pretty have anything to do with me wanting to be a welder? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. In fact, it's a lot of ignorance surrounding that whole factor. There are plenty of women who actually weld, and there are a bunch of women who are exceptionally good at it. You know, there's a little joke about welding where as though it's like sewing with fire. Literally, you're like bonding two pieces of metal together. Like, you're just making little stitch lines. You're making a little weld pools. You're putting stuff together, and hey, it literally is like sewing with fire. The funny part with this is you have to have really good hand-eye coordination. You have to actually pay attention to what it is you're supposed to do. You have to follow directions. You have to be able to read. You have to actually be able to do math. There's a list of things that actually I honestly think will keep your mind young, will keep you actually thinking. Um, and then there's the sense of accomplishment that comes from actually successfully welding something, knowing that you did something that's actually going to last, knowing that you did something that's actually going to serve a purpose, being productive. That is something that is, I don't know, very important to me. I don't want to be somebody who's just not doing something with their life. They're just sitting around there being stagnant. Sure, if playing video games and stuff is cool and whatnot, but it is not going to pay my bills unless I'm a streamer or something. And even then, you're competing with a ton of people to do that. And I've seen people start hating doing that. So I would rather do something that gives me my own sense of purpose. Now, that being said, I'm only in the part with the stick welding. I'm pretty sure when I get into MIG and TIG, it's going to have its own challenges. But so far, I'm thinking out of all of them, doing stick, from what people have told me, is the one that if you can get decent at that, if you can survive that, the other ones will probably be a little bit more what's the word for this, welcomed to attempt, because with stick welding there are a list of things that can go drastically wrong. Same with the other two, except for the fact that some people have been telling me, like other students, that those other things are a little bit more controlled in the way that you're delivering the actual weld. And from what I've seen in videos, it's rather pretty too. Um, Now, I would have to say, from doing stick welding for the short period of time that I've been doing it, um, and passing my midterms, I have to say I actually really enjoy it. I have fun whenever I get to go into class, pull out my machine, set it up myself. I set up all of my equipment myself. I have my own set of tools. I have my own booth. Like, it makes me feel like I'm already doing what it is that I would be doing out in the field. The fun part with this is, at one point, the teacher actually let me weld onto the floor a plate in a certain area because we would pull out the oxyacetylene tank, and for whatever reason, the way that the shop floor was set up, there was like a little indentation there, so I got to weld a plate over top of the indentation so that whenever it gets pulled out, it doesn't fall into this little gap that was there. So I looked to chalk that up as my first weld job because it's actually still holding up in its sound, and it passed the test of being struck several times. So there's a sense of straight up accomplishment in actually doing something that serves a purpose. Okay, so at the school, the actual school, towards the end of our graduation period, like went towards the end, they actually will set us up with someone that's partnering with the school for a job. And one of the ones that I was looking into myself uh, deals with bridges and is out in Dundalk. Um, I also got approached by a recruiter recently. This was actually last week. I got approached by a recruiter that is from like steam fitters and piping or something like that. Pipe fitters and steam fitters, something like that. It's like a union. A recruiter approached me and was asking me about what I wanted to do in the future, and actually said to look them up after I got done and graduated. So there's a bunch of opportunity, but as my own personal goal, which is something that I know a lot of people have already been trying to talk me out of, I would like to work on a bridge at least once. I don't really have any type of fear of heights, so that doesn't bother me in the least. So I know for a fact I could work in construction, I could work on bridges. I wouldn't have a problem working in a shop fixing a motorcycle or automobile or anything like that. There really isn't a limitation on the things that I could probably do once I actually finished and got my diplomas, just because of the fact that I don't have those other basic fears. I'm just not really a scaredy cat about certain things like that. And I'm not, that's not to say that having a phobia of heights is a bad thing. Some people naturally have that. I just don't have it. So more than likely, I'll probably try my best to get into a position where I can work on a bridge at least once. Or the next one that I would want to do after that, or in the interim of that, I like to be able to work on pipes. I don't know why, but they fascinate me. I know that they have various usage, and it also poses a form of a challenge because of how well you have to be able to get your welds. How silly is that? How well you have to get your welds. Yeah, try saying that fast. Um, Another thing, which is like a bucket list item, which would require me to learn how to swim. Yeah, emphasis. If you've been following me, you probably already know this is actually something that's on my bucket list to actually do, because at one point in my lifetime, I actually drowned due to someone being negligent and ignorant. Um, and I never learned how to swim. So that's something I really need to do now to fulfill this bucket list item, because I'd like to actually be an underwater welder at some point. Now, these are all me being very serious. These are things that I actually want to do. And I think in the order that I'd really like to try to get this, since we're taking OSHA for construction, chances are I'll probably try my best to get in a position that I at least work on a construction site at least a couple of times, or on some type of structural work, or pipes, or the bridge. But mainly, I will be pushing to try to work on a bridge or something, because I am very fascinated by harnesses and rigging, and I kind of like heights. So it's it's kind of like my go-to goal with that. Um, I've thought about I've thought about networking and trying to talk to people about maybe getting an apprenticeship or something even after I finish school, just because I think that it would be wise to learn as much as possible and as many different things as possible, and have as much hands-on experience as possible. Um, but we shall see. I still have several months left and two other types of welding to learn, and who knows how I'm going to feel once I get into those other classes, and how I'm going to feel about the other two teachers, because I have to say it's going to be hard to actually top our teacher, Mr. J. Period. Like, hands down, he's probably like the coolest teacher I've had in my life. And that's just a lot because I've had various teachers in my life. Um, let's see, what else? Do, do, do. Mm, but yeah, I've actually went through the process of having somebody flat out try to tell me not to be a welder. I've had them do it. They would tell me, "Oh, why would you do that? You are going to be putting yourself in a very dangerous position. It's not really the best suitable position for you to be in." Now, here's the flip side of this. The recruiter who approached me was really adamant about the fact that they need more women welders, and there have been a few other people who approached me in an interim of that, for the simple fact of something that is very blatantly obvious. If you've ever actually seen my videos, and you've noticed that I am not that big, so I would fit in very small spaces. That is something that somebody much bigger than me wouldn't be able to do. So that's rather convenient, isn't it? So I've looked at the all of the extra random tidbit pros from the things that people would make fun of me for wanting to do that for. So me being the size that I am is actually a benefit in certain aspects of the situation. Like, certain situations, I would be able to fit in a confined space a lot easier than someone much bigger than me. So some of the things that people were saying just doesn't make any sense. Um, what else? I had somebody tell me or try to make fun of me because of the fact that I am a woman, and because of my hair. And they said, "Oh, how would you even be able to do all that?" And I'm like, I've already been in school for quite some time. I am actually doing very good in my class. I'm actually the only girl in my class, and it started out with 8 people, and now there's just 6. And guess what? I'm still in the class. So I'm basically looking at the situation as if I would be walking proof that just because somebody thinks you can't do something doesn't mean that you can't do it. Clearly, I'm capable of doing it, which is why I'm doing it. Oh, I'm still in school, so clearly I'm capable of doing it. So, the only people that I've noticed in my life that actually have that type of a sway that might actually very briefly get me to feel some kind of way are people who are in my inner circle. Usually I do care about what it is that they have to say to me, and sometimes if it's actually something that's within reason, I'll consider it. However, in this situation, when it comes to me and my career choice, and the fact that I've actually waited this long to actually start doing it, there isn't much anyone could possibly say to me at this point to make me not want to do what it is that I'm doing. So that's that's just how it is. I I used to be the person who would put my stuff off for other people. That was me. I was the person who was worried about everybody else but me first. And this is the one point in my life that I drew the line. If I want to do this for myself and you sit there and you try to tell me that I can't do it, but you're not doing anything with your life, why should I listen to you? Yeah. So that's how I handled that situation when the person was basically trying to tell me I couldn't do what I'm trying to do. So it's like I basically am proving you wrong. However, that's not my goal, but I'm basically proving the person wrong, that I'm not capable of doing that, that it doesn't take skill to do that. So I guess on a little random tidbit, don't let someone who doesn't know anything about what your trade is tell you something about your trade as if they're an expert when they don't even know the first thing about what it is that you actually do. I guess that's like a common sense thing. You really shouldn't let somebody sit there and talk to you in a way that's going to discourage you from doing what it is that you want to do in the first place. Well, I think honestly, when it comes to stuff like that, when it comes to fear, it depends on your belief system, but personally, I'm going to go from my own opinion with this one and what it is that I feel about this. There is no person that is walking around on this planet that I should be afraid of enough that they're going to cost me my future. Their opinion is their opinion. They're not living my life. I'm living my life. So why is it that I should listen to whatever it is that they're saying out their mouth about my choices and what it is that I want to do with my life? That seems stupid. So often people will sit there and listen to somebody who does not doing anything with their life. In fact, sometimes I've noticed that people will actually have friends who don't care about them enough to see them succeed. In fact, you got people out here who will basically sit there and because they don't want to do something with their life, if they see any of their friends doing anything, they'll try to hold them back because they don't want to feel as though they're lesser than that other person. Honestly, I think at that point, what I just described isn't actually a friend, but I've seen people with friends like this. I've seen it. Um, and oddly enough, I've noticed that there's this whole thing with people in Schadenfreude in general, especially when it comes to someone else succeeding. You would think that common sense would say if this person is successful and I am in their inner circle and maybe they learn something, I can learn something from that too and also be successful. But instead, people are just like, oh, I can't believe that person's doing that. I feel some kind of way about that. Maybe I should try to mess that up for them, or maybe I need to outdo them. So it's like a keeping up with the Joneses thing. I, I honestly think that it's a little bit of a waste of time and it's not productive. So if people are like that around me, chances are I don't really talk to them very much because it's a waste of my time. It's not helping me do anything with my life. It's not helping me get my goals accomplished to be around someone like that. And for the most part, if someone is like that, they're not doing much with their life. So there's that. Um, the other thing that I've noticed as far as going to school, there's a sense of work ethic being put into people already, simply because you have to show up on time or you get in trouble. Oh, guess what that sounds like? That sounds like work, doesn't it? Yeah. So there's this thing in class, which is why I've been trying my best to not be late and not miss very much time unless it's something that's important. The people who actually are looking to recruit us towards the end of our class, they look at our attendance. Because chances are, even if I weld wonderfully, if someone else has better attendance than me and they weld somewhat close to me, I'm pretty sure they're probably going to choose a person with more better attendance. So that's something that I've been looking into as far as that's concerned, and I'm pretty sure I have very good attendance in class because I've been going out of my way, even going as far as getting there extra early so that I am not late. I think that's also a part of my personality, and it's really telling that I'm very punctual. Don't like being late to anything. It kind of bothers me. Anyway, um, I am fairly sure that I need to really get that helmet. That's going to be my focus in the coming future, trying to get myself that new helmet just because I want to be able to see and I actually want to be able to weld the best as possible. Like, I want to be able to do my best, and not being able to see what I'm doing is a hindrance. It is not a good thing. Although it does say a lot that about my skill level, the fact that I'm capable of making really good welds, and I'm not seeing as good as I should be because of my helmet. Not because of my eyes, but because of my helmet. Like, that's one thing when it comes to like the stuff that I've been learning in OSHA, which by the way, I just there's a lot of common sense stuff going on there that I find disturbing, that people do some of the things that they do with forklifts. There are a bunch of videos on YouTube, by the way. Just look up top forklift accidents or top 10 people who should never come near a forklift again, and you'll see some very interesting you'll see some stuff. I just don't understand it. Anyway, I've rambled on for quite some time here, and I am fairly sure this will probably be much more interesting the next time I chime in because I will be doing a little bit of a review on this head neck cover and seeing how well it holds up against the thing that I made out of a friend's shirt. So, hope everybody's doing good, staying blessed, and feeling well. And I will see you all next time. And I'm going to go study because OSHA 10 test at some point, possibly tomorrow. Yeah. Yay, learning. All right. See ya.